Yates' mock draft and Dan Orlovsky's opinion, Field has QB1 going 26 overall. Excuse me. Ty Simpson, Alabama.
You that choked up?
Well, I mean, no, I didn't mean to be choked up.
He was so pleased with his joke there. Got choked up on it.
That wasn't it.
Were you taken back by the take by Dan Orlovsky?
No, see, something's going on with this. Let me just do the setup because I'm glad you brought that up. So,
Okay.
So Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback Dan Orlovsky said yesterday on Get Up that after watching the tape, he would have him as QB1. And he would have him above Fernando Mendoza, Indiana quarterback. Fields mock draft, he has a trade up with Arizona trading up with Buffalo at number 26 to take Ty Simpson. The thing that's happening is I didn't get the sense that Dan was laughed at by those in the know yesterday. Like I saw a lot of people that said, okay, this is interesting. Let me dive into this more. Or good for Dan for taking this stance. And I thought that was interesting because I don't think Dan was trying to make some sort of bold hot take. I think it was I've watched the tape and here's what I think. I remember years ago, it was whatever draft it was, the next year is when we started our show. And I remember you said to us, CC, because you were on the draft coverage the previous year here on ESPN Radio, you said, I always had CJ Stroud above Bryce Young.
I did.
Every single step of the way. Now, in that moment, you probably were like, people were like, oh, you're just trying to get a hot take or whatever it is. And you're like, no, after watching this, this is what I think. I just can't get out of my mind that Dan, it was not like, oh, Orlovsky trying to give a hot take. A lot of people sided with him on this.
Yeah, here's the difference, though, between my take and Dano's take when it comes to CJ Stroud versus Ty Simpson. What I saw from CJ Stroud in the college football playoff that year when they matched up against Georgia and Marvin Harrison Jr. got knocked out of the game, CJ Stroud continued to ball. I saw the movement skills. He set his team up. They were a field goal away from being able to win that game. And all of those guys on Georgia's defense play on Sundays now. What did we get from Ty Simpson when he matched up against Indiana's defense in the college football playoff? It was awful. Absolutely atrocious. So, I mean, how you play at the end of the season matter. How you play against what I deem to be NFL competition matters. Ty Simpson's first couple of months during the college season were a lot better than his last couple of months. And I'm sorry, I would be scared as hell rolling with the guy in the first round that only had a grand total of 16 starts in his collegiate career. Now, somebody's going to pull the trigger in drafting him because quarterbacks always get pushed up when it comes to their value relative to other positions in the draft. Man, I think there are some good traits with Ty Simpson. I just struggle to get to the place of calling him QB1 in this draft just because he was asked to do more in the scheme that Kalen DeBoer deployed in Alabama relative to what Kurt Cignetti asked Fernando Mendoza to do in Indiana.
Also, this one is different than the CJ Stroud, Bryce Young year or years past because that year we're talking about number 1 versus number 2. The first pick and the second pick. When it was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, we're talking about 1, 2, 3. We're talking about guys who are very much at the top of the food chain when we're talking about quarterback prospects in this league. So Dan is saying that he thinks Ty Simpson is QB1, but that's not necessarily reflecting itself when we are seeing Field and other mock drafts that are coming out there. Fernando Mendoza firmly placed at number 1, and then a lot of quarterback-needy teams passing on Ty Simpson for him ultimately go 26 to Arizona. I think that's the difference, too, is we're talking about Dan being the one person that said this, and you, to your point, I haven't heard anyone be like, that's ridiculous. I can't believe he said that. But still, we're not seeing that maybe from a Richter scale standpoint when it comes to what we think his overall draft stock will be. I'd
be stunned if he fell all the way to 26.
So where do you think
he's getting drafted in top 15?
Is there a team you have circled?
Oh boy, okay, Evan, that's a strong take.
Are you going to say Miami?
No, I was not. There's just no way that there's all this hype around a quarterback in a quarterback draft that sees the number 1 quarterback go number 1 overall, and then we're going to drop to 26. There's just no way. It never happens that way.
But is there a team that you've identified in the top 15 that you think if he's there, they're going to take him?
I think that the Rams could at 13.
Even though they're firmly in win now mode with all the moves they've made this offseason?
I think Tampa could at 15. I don't think that's crazy at all to think that. I also think that there could be teams that trade up, like the Jets at 16, to try to trade up a little bit to get him. You know, I'll give you a wild one. You've been wondering about Detroit, CC.
Yeah.
You said one couple months ago, you're like, let's just, for fun, reckless speculation, let's play out the what would you get for Goff? How quickly could you get Malik Willis in there? You just played that out, which means your mind is going, have they gotten the best years out of Goff? And are those value years only going to get worse? And could they look for the next guy hypothetically? You're not throwing Goff under the bus. You're not saying he's bad. You're wondering about the increased price at the increased age.
Yes.
Past a prime, potentially, or this part of the prime.
I'm paying $50+ million a year for the third best quarterback in my division.
Yeah. I think, here's what I'll give you, Smalls. You asked me about a team. Ty Simpson, to me, has a chance to be the guy for a team that draft a quarterback when they want one, not when they need one.
Completely agree.
I don't think he's going to be the guy that a team's going to draft when they need a quarterback.
Yeah, I think Ty Simpson from a draft and stash proposition, similar to what the Green Bay Packers always execute, have a guy that, you know, red shirts his first year, sits maybe another year, and year 3 ends up being the guy for a team. So you're talking about being the week 1 starter in 2028. I could be on board with a game plan like that. But that is so niche in terms of how, you know, NFL teams look at the draft board. And it takes a very special team that has stability at the top. And when you have, you know, the level of urgency that these teams operate with in today's game, I just don't see the fit for Ty Simpson. Now, Ev, you brought up the point about a quarterback going number 1 overall and not seeing another quarterback go off the board until the mid to late 20s. We had that exact same scenario last year.
I understand.
With Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. And the Giants traded back into the first round, the 25th overall pick, in order to take Jackson Dart. And so I think it could shape up to be that type of scenario with this draft, where the quarterback going number 1 overall, and then us having to wait a while until the latter part of the first round before we see the next guy at the position's name called.
I'll give you one other reason why I think we're unsure about Simpson. Who's the guy that everybody compares him to? Mac Jones. Is Mac Jones good or bad? Is that a compliment or an insult?
I don't see.
That's what people have said.
I don't see Mac Jones.
They've said a little bit more athletic version of Mac Jones.
Yeah,
That's been a comp.
Yeah, much more athletic. Yeah.
Is that an insult or a compliment? That's why we don't know where he's going to go. I literally don't know if being compared to Mac Jones is a good thing or a bad thing. I have no idea.
I think it's a good thing. We've seen Mac Jones be able to play, start, and win games this league. I mean, Kevin Clark came on this show and said that if the Minnesota Vikings got Mac Jones this year, they'd be in the Super Bowl. Like that's how they view Mac Jones. Under the right set of circumstances, with the right supporting cast, he can be a really good player.
Which is why,
I mean, Mac Jones could be the next iteration of Sam Darnold. Right? Who knows, right?
That's logical. Some of the other leaps we've made are not.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think it plays into what I see Ty Simpson as, which is a guy that you don't want to have to start in his rookie year. A player that you want to be in your scheme and let him develop for a year or two before you let him take over the reins. Have a quality veteran presence in that quarterback room to teach him the NFL game, how to be a pro, how to break down tape, what to expect, how defenses change on the fly, pre-snap, post-snap, etc. And once he figures that out and marries that with his natural gifts, then all of a sudden you have the makings of a franchise quarterback. But to think that you're going to parachute Ty Simpson into any situation and that team is going to microwave success, it ain't going to happen.
Again, check out Field Yates' mock draft, ESPN.com, where he has Simpson going 26 to Arizona on a trade-up, Arizona to Buffalo.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
None of these quarterbacks in this class are Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. None of these guys are that.
Not Mendoza?
No. None of these guys are that. So if that's what you think, none of these guys are that. None of them.
Pat Costello is back. He has I'm Over It coming up next. But first, Small says this from H&R Block. Closing in on tax day, ladies and gentlemen.
We are getting very close.